Hello darlings, it's Rob Marenghi here. Don't look into the light. Don't look into the social media light. It will trap you and kill you. No, I'm being mostly facetious. Hello, I hope you're doing very well. So, I should get rid of that. I'll put it over here and turn it on because it looks cool. Alright guys, hello. I'm here to talk to you today about social media and mental health. So I want to give a very, very brief description of why I feel I'm qualified to talk about it. A 30-second history of social media. 10 things that I've learned from studies and a scientific approach in general about this, and then 10 of my own reflections about this, with a happy ending. So stick around for that. And no, not in the Thailand, Amsterdam vein. Sorry. No, stick around for the happy ending. It will be very serious and very good. Okay, so I think I'm at a good age to talk about this because I remember learning about it when I was about 22. Someone saying to me, "Are you not on Facebook? Are you crazy? Everyone's on Facebook." And thinking, I have no idea what that is, never heard of it, I'll join it. And I did, and all the bad and good things came from it from there on. So I wasn't born on social media. Like, some people literally, they're before they leave the womb, their scans are on Facebook, which is 100% an advertising tool. I'm not going to get into the more cynical side of it too much today. I was actually going to do a whole video on scams of fetuses on Facebook, but I think I'll leave that for now. So I'm going to have to raise my eyes a little bit to read some figures I wrote down. Let's talk about the history of Facebook. Because like I say, I was at an age of reasonable skepticism when I found out about it. Wasn't born on it. I knew a time before it. Okay, Facebook was founded in February 2004 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, by Mark Zuckerberg, as I'm sure some of you know, and some of his fellow students and roommates. That was 2004. By October 2012, Facebook had 1 billion users, which is a lot of users. And in 2018, Facebook's total assets were 97.334 billion, and the total equity in 2018 was 84.127 billion. That's a lot. We're going to do one more 30-second history of a social media platform, Twitter. So Twitter was founded in March 2006 by Jack Dorsey, who was recently interviewed by Sam Harris and Joe Rogan, this being February 2019. Jack Dorsey and some other people. By 2016, 10 years after it was launched, it had 390 million users, and on the day of the 2016 election, when Mr. Donald Trump was inaugurated into the position he is now in, there were 40 million election-related tweets sent by 10 p.m. Eastern Time on election day. So, and as you know, Donald Trump was all over Twitter. So, a little backdrop of just two of the social media platforms we all know so well. So, on to the 10 points of science. We've done why I'm qualified. I could have gone more into detail with that. I'm honest, my IQ is above 80 and that too. And we've done a little bit of history. So, 10 things that I learned. Very interesting things. So, all sorts of studies have been done. And one showed that 30 to 40% of face-to-face human interaction is a kind of you-me exchange. Oh, how have you been? Oh, me, yeah, I did this stuff. But how was that for you? Kind of thing. Whereas on social media, about 80% of posts, and I'm surprised it's not more, it's just me. I'm sure I've been guilty of this as well. It's like, this is about me. This is what I think about this. This is why you should like me or feel outraged on my behalf, or see the virtue signal I'm doing and not see it as virtue signaling, but see me as virtuous and like for that reason. So, second thing, I saw Jonathan Haidt. Don't worry, this gets less grim. But Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Coddling of the American Mind, who's a professor of psychology somewhere, very, very, very moderate, smart, liberal guy. he pulled up these graphs, which were quite disturbing, saying the incidence of non-fatal self-harm in girls had tripled in the last few years, corresponding exactly with the huge rise in social media use of these girls. And for boys, it had gone up a lot as well. It had more than tripled, which is really quite scary. So, point 3. You do get anxiety, stress, and withdrawal. Studies have shown that the process of being immersed in it and then trying to completely get away from it have the same stimulus points as drug addiction. Anxiety, stress, withdrawal, like the bad side of a drug. And point 4, like the good side of a drug, you literally get a dopamine hit when you see a like on your thing. And dopamine is released during exercise and sex and various other drugs, stuff like that. So, yeah, and obviously if you see a total lack of likes, but it depends on what you're putting out there, I guess, then you don't get your hit of dopamine and you feel more depressed. So, point 5, there have been brain scans done of people using social media, and the way it can impair the brain is in the white matter there is impairment in attention and decision making, and it also makes you worse at multitasking because your brain, you think it'd make you better at multitasking all on these very different platforms, but no, your brain can't filter interferences as well as people who are not on social media, and your nervous system literally gets rewired. The reward and threat responses, and the satisfaction responses, the self-esteem responses, it's all been rewired by these machines we have, and social media have been the main way of that happening. Okay, a bit more social now for point 6. FOMO, fear of missing out. An expression we toss around quite glibly, but is actually diagnosed as the real anxiety. Personally, I don't, like, it sounds selfish, I post things on Facebook, but I don't read the newsfeed, like the highlights of everyone's life and smiling and on a beach, they're never cowering under the covers kind of thing. It makes you feel that you've got a shit life because you're seeing everyone else's projected life and the backstage story, the behind the scenes story of your own life. And it can be quite different to that. Okay, the seventh thing, or on science and studies, apparently thousands of people surveyed on about social media, and 40% of adults said they'd experienced harassment online, and 73% of adults said they'd witnessed harassment online. Obviously, harassment is someone saying, "Oh, shut up, you." Someone might call harassment, whereas if someone is calling for the dox thing, like the kids with the MAGA hats recently, or calling for violence, say, then that would be harassment. The 8th thing, I was very surprised to hear this, but statistically, relationships that start on dating sites stand more chance of long-term success than relationships started organically in real life. People who did it thought maybe it's because you know more about a person going in and what they want for the future with dating sites. Although on the flip side, you would think that dating sites give people an excess of choice and make it harder to commit. But yeah, apparently the studies have been done and the data is in, and dating sites are more likely to lead to success. Okay, number 9. That's 9. People have been surveyed on this, and the amount of people who say their best friend or one of their best friends is their favourite YouTuber. Just picture someone you love on YouTube now, or on TV, or a talking head of some kind. People see them as their best friends, even though in reality, of course, they've not spent a second of FaceTime with the person. And the other person doesn't know they exist, I guess, unless they're sending them fan mail and stuff. But yes, I thought that was quite interesting. And the last thing I'll say on the studies, number 10, studies science realm, is that 1/3 of the planet now use social media. I'll just let that detonate in your brain. 1/3 of the planet. And there's like hundreds of thousands of people, I think it is every day or every week, been connected to the power grid and lifted out of poverty, which is of course wonderful. social media isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that's just going to go on the increase. So now we've done vaguely why I'm qualified to talk about this. 30-second histories of Facebook and Twitter. We've done 10 points on science and studies, and now we're going to do 10 of my own reflections on how I think this affects mental health in 2019. First of all, point one, I would say we're so entrenched in social media, myself included, whether it's Bumble or Tinder or Instagram, or not that I'm entrenched in all these, but I'm just listing them: Bumble, Instagram, Twitter, Tinder, Guardian, Soulmate, Facebook, YouTube, and all of it. There's a lot going on. I think so. There's some of the main contenders, but we don't like to think about this. We want to sweep it under the rug. But as I say, at the end of this video, I think there is a sort of silver lining, a positive ending. But yes, that's the first thing I say. The second thing I say, I'm not sure if I managed to deal with social media that gracefully or in moderation, or if I myself didn't fall into the trap of like means dopamine, lack of likes means lack of dopamine. I as guilty as everyone, I guess. You put something out there and if 40 people like it, you prefer that to one person liking it, or no one liking it, or someone saying you're full of shit. Or it might be the nature of the sort of things I put out, a bit more controversial and a bit less like look at this big personal event sort of thing. Unless it's for the music, but that's often to disguise the fact I'm trying to promote the music. And I never, as I said before, for the fear of missing out, I never go through the public newsfeed. It may sound selfish and like I'm a free rider on the platform, but I do put stuff out there, but I don't because it depresses me too much, to be honest. Especially with the dissociation symptoms and how you feel that's limiting you, and you see people, like I say, golden, like Greek Adonis under a palm tree, and the wedding day triumph and the job that they got and all the rest of it. You don't see the time spent in hospital, or the hours sat dwelling on things on your bed, or shivering under the covers and all that. The other side, everyone's also got going on. Number 3, I would say people are always talking on, like a Reddit subreddit, that they ban all kinds of things that aren't like community based, and it is good because it encourages like real community type comments, but it's a pseudo community, as I've said in a different video. Everyone sat on their own in a room staring at a machine, and we're calling these communities. Do you know what I mean? I can't remember his name, but that British guy just wrote a book called Lost Connections, all about this, saying the epidemic. And it's not just because people are more comfortable talking about it, although that's true, but there is actually a huge epidemic, like the Jonathan Haidt's graphs of non-fatal self-mutilation tripling. There is actually an epidemic in lost connections and isolation and these pseudo replacements. Again, it's not entirely bad, but if that's all you're relying on, and you're going to be someone who orders in a prosthetic woman, because it's easier to do that. It's easier to make Facebook friends than real friends. It's easier to shag a robot than find a real woman to shag it. God knows where it will end. Yes, and the isolation and bullying that comes from that. Not sure if I numbered that last one, but number 5. So, the bullying and harassment that goes on online. This kid, Tyler Clements, just one of many college kids in America, committed suicide because his friend filmed him kissing a guy either for a dare or just through natural affection, and posted it everywhere, and he got all kinds of abuse and he killed himself. Might not, as Albert Camus put it a while ago, we always try and attribute one reason to suicide, but that can't have helped him, no matter what else is going on. Poor kid. And this has been shown over and over again, probably why it's affecting girls so much more. So when girls are after someone, they go for reputation destruction and lies, which is, social media is just the perfect evergreen breeding ground for that kind of thing. Boys are more confrontational and, well, on average, and we'll fight it out, and don't use their tactics sort of much. Like the gossiping and bitching does occur, but to nowhere near the same extent, as I'm sure anyone who's lived in the world for 2 seconds will know. Okay, number 6. One thing I worry about with some of the girls I teach, that they're just getting to that age, like 11, 12, where they're going to, the whole semi-naked picture thing, enticing picture thing, or even fully naked picture thing, the boys are going to be asking for it. If they're not, somewhat, I'm sure that hopefully the parents telling them, but if they're not cautious about it, they're going to end up with their very, very intimate images on public record. Do you know what I mean? It's possible that there's even sites about this, like myexgirlfriend.com or something, where people break up with someone. No, they decide they hate them, and then they post up the most intimate pictures and videos they have of that person. So yes, that's not a good side of social media, and it's so common and acceptable now. You know, sat in a band practice once, and the girl in the band said, "Oh, I've just got a dick pic of someone from Bumble or Twitter," and it's just normal now. I'm losing track of the numbers now, but I think number 7. The fact it's totally unnatural. Our brains we're hunter-gatherer species more and more, I'm convinced, designed for like a Paleolithic diet, going from one place to one place, lots of time in nature, not staring at these tiny little machines all day in a concrete jungle, you know. It affects our attention and mood so much. People aren't taking in the glory of nature so much, you know, and maybe writing a poem about it, or just having their brain soothed by it. The first instinct, myself included, sometimes is, I've got to take a picture of this, you know, and share it with people, and then I hope everyone likes it, and then I'll feel validated, but until tomorrow, and I've got to do it again, and then if people don't like it, then fuck them. It's all so silly. Okay, next. I've got experience of this now in my YouTube channel, which I obsessively have been doing the last 5 or 6 weeks, more than that, 7 or 8 weeks. And yeah, everyone says in that community, although I am doing it to try and help people and eventually make money, maybe from sponsorships or whatever, as naive as that might sound, but it does happen if you stick at it. You've got to be everywhere on social media, and the same with music as well. You can't how are you going to do on music if you don't tell anyone that you're recording stuff, that you're not on Spotify and iTunes and, well, I don't know if they're social media, but, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, all the rest of it. You have to spread the word, you know, and it works. That's why people are always on them, and they're always in the back of your mind to some extent. Okay, number 8, I think this is. I apologise if I've messed up the numbers. Attention is a very sacred thing. One thing I've learned doing guided meditation on and off, get more guided recently and more sort of self-induced a few years ago, is it's a matter of training your attention. And when you do it quite a lot, when you sat with someone, you notice your attention is more laser focused. And Sam Harris or someone like that has got there through meditation. You're really listening and you're really paying attention. But these social media sites constantly fragment our attention. Yeah, you know, and the phantom vibration syndrome, which is a real thing now. Apparently, it's a real psychological, like, phantom limb, where your limb's been chopped off, but you think it's still there. You feel an itch. People have it where they don't have the phone on them, and they feel a vibration. They think they feel a vibration of the phone that isn't there. So yeah, that's how much it's pulling our attention, and we're imagining we're getting a message, and then that's completely derailing what we're thinking about, or speculating about, or working on, or who we're talking to, and it's got to be that. I'm sure you've all. I've probably done it myself, because when you see someone else doing it, you think, "I'll look at that phone slave." But then when I'm doing it, it's like, "Well, this is important. I've got to go on Google Maps and I've got to check what's happening and the rest of it." Yes. So when it comes to love and friendship and meditation, even a device that constantly attracts your attention in an unnatural way for brief hits of dopamine that are sort of pseudo happiness doesn't sound like it's going to help. Okay, number 9. I touched on this a little bit before, but people's highlights reel. You know, like it's their CV. They're putting their crowning achievements on there. I'm sure you see girls with selfie sticks taking 100 pictures, so the picture's just right, so everyone can see just how happy they are and how much they don't really care about it, and that you know if they're happy or not, and how carefree they look, and stuff like that. You don't see people, as I said, shivering under the covers and finding out their dad's got cancer, or finding out they've got say tuberculosis, but that's a bit archaic, but not in Newham apparently, which has found from my friend Sean, who works in TB modelling, not modelling like that, you know, mathematical modelling, that Newham in East London is the highest density of tuberculosis, and I worked in schools there for 6 years, constantly going in and out, so hopefully I haven't got that. Yeah, you see an unrealistic view of everyone else, and like I said before, what's going on in your backstage, your vaccines, it's not what you see on Facebook. And the last thing I will say, number 10, my thoughts and reflections on this, is I think that it's not all doom and gloom, and if one is sensible and wise with it, because it's going to be hard to be off it now. It's like email. You hear about people who aren't an email or don't have a phone, but I went a few weeks without a phone, and it was glorious. My attention opened up, and I was very mindful and everything. But people fell out on me, like someone texts you don't reply for 2 weeks, I'll call back. People can think that's it for your friendship. I think you need these things now. You probably need to be on some social media, professionally, LinkedIn at least, or you're trying to get a date, Bumble or Tinder, or you want to speak to someone in a different country as your friend, Facebook. You've got to be on it, but you can maybe use it wisely, and try not to spew out your negative repressions, and maybe think for a few seconds before posting something needlessly inflammatory or something that could be read as bigoted in the haste of the moment. Probably giving myself a little lecture there. But that's it, guys. That's how I think social media is affecting our mental health in 2019. Links to the music below. Subscribe to my channel for more of this kind of stuff. We'll be focusing much more on the mental health side and the drugs side of things. Alright guys, take it easy. Bye.